Welcome back to the cave. Today the COVID crime dream team, Peter Daszak, Anthony Fauci and David Franz. This is the 6th chapter of the COVID Italian job. Behind the scene we have other two key actors, Larry Dave Fink, the boss of BlackRock, and John O'Brien, former director of Central Intelligence Agency. So follow my short, just 6 minutes to understand better this complex plot. See you soon, brothers.
COVID Crime Dream Team. The conspiracy group planning and implementing COVID scam has its core team. 3 persons, Fauci, Daszak, Franz, in the front line and other 2 or more in the background as strategists. Larry Fink, founder and CEO of BlackRock, and his good friend John O'Brien, former CIA director. All inside the Biden administration framework and their supporters in Silicon Valley. Peter Daszak, president of EcoHealth Alliance, worked from the very beginning to involve strong partners, donors, and as more countries as possible, except one, Russia. Indeed, at the suggestion of the U.S. State Department, it began to build a series of biolaboratories all around the former Soviet Empire, then in the hands of Putin. All centers were harvesting pathogens, using genetic engineering and synthetic biology to make them more infectious, contagious, lethal, and drug-resistant. To defend himself against the criticisms of many, Daszak said that it was necessary to study wildlife, because that was where future threats would come from. Zoonosis was the keyword. An example is just in Italy, in the city of Pesaro, the mayor Matteo Ricci authorized the construction of a P3 laboratory for zoo prophylaxis. It was financed in part by the Pentagon. Thanks to people protest, this project is now suspended. The municipality of Pesaro has authorized the sale of public land for the creation of a biosafety laboratory, BSL-3, by the Istituto Zooprofilattico Sperimentale dell'Umbria e del Marche Togo Rosati. In the resolution, the municipality explains what is meant by the BSL-3 biosafety laboratory, quote, that is, a structure capable of guaranteeing experiments and manipulations, in vivo and in vitro, of viral agents dangerous to animal and human health in conditions of maximum biological safety and containment, end quote. Italy again was a keystone of Daszak projects. The 2014 Ebola outbreak had spread to the area around one of Daszak's laboratories in Africa, where he was working on notorious gain of function. But he deftly produced disinformation with Franz's help, had managed to mislead the media and public opinion. The Ebola danger was waning, but the real goal was the transition from animal to human of SARS-CoV-2. And this happened in the US in 2014. A cornerstone of the big scam was laid. David Franz was another member of the team. Besides Daszak, inside EHA he was former Commander Foote Dietrich, a master of disinformation. Franz was in the board as political advisors. He got a brilliant CV as lies producer. Franz had been a member of the UN team that from 2002 to 2004 had inspected Iraq for caches of weapons of mass destruction. It was a report signed by Franz that gave the Bush administration the legal basis for needlessly invading Iraq. He was the deep throat who had misled the international media about the alleged existence, which turned out to be false, of Saddam Hussein's biochemical weapons. He was the main misreporter of the 2001 anthrax attacks, soon after the attacks on the Twin Towers. Franz attributed them to Al-Qaeda, while instead they were the result of the folly, it is not known whether it was guided or not, of one of his scientists from Fort Detrick. Franz is therefore a skilled disinformer and ready to any dangerous project. Another key actor of this criminal gang was Anthony Fauci. Fauci became White House bioweapons manager under Ronald Reagan. And he never moved from there. His counterterrorism budget as White House science advisor went from $53 million in 2001 to nearly $2 billion in 2003. Enough to make anyone lose their sense of reality. The biological terrorism business grew enormously, so much so that in 2010 there were 11,000 scientists working for the Pentagon, divided into 249 P3 and 7 P4 laboratories. With those numbers was easy to say that Fauci for years was the guy who tell scientific research where to go. For him could be easy fabricate evidences against China, because he knows perfectly, along with TheSaintmenSun, how was the work inside Wuhan laboratory. Larry D. Fink, a dynamic character with dual nationality, American and Israeli, perfect expression of the woke culture. Great speeches on ethics and total ruthlessness in pursuing the interests of his own businesses. He has always known how to move deftly in the places of power in Washington as in Jerusalem. Very close to John Brennan as well as to the trio n.18, Shabtai Shavit and Nir Dagon, all passed from the direction of Mossad. John Brennan had a long career inside the CIA, studied Arabic and was station chief of Langley in Riyadh. He attended daily briefings at the White House under Bill Clinton. In 1999, he was promoted to CIA Chief of Staff by George Tenet. Then he became head of a structure that brought together various agencies for the analysis of terrorism risk under President Bush Jr. Here a negative episode occurred which made him the perfect candidate to be protagonist of the secret plots of recent years. He was embroiled in a scandal that saw him as a spreader of false information about terrorist attacks. It was and still is the use of truth to rule the world. That was the COVID crime dream team.